Kyle Rittenhouse was a goon. Please don't hate me. I really do want to be a part of the solution. I don't know if you remember Kyle Rittenhouse or not, but Kyle Rittenhouse was a 17-year-old pimple-faced kid that went down to Kenosha, Wisconsin to a rally in support of a black kid that got shot. But that doesn't really play into this so much. This isn't really about black and white exactly anymore. And but as it happens, Kyle Rittenhouse went down there. He was from Illinois, and so he goes down there to Wisconsin with his rifle, which he wasn't allowed to own, by the way. He had to get somebody else to buy it for him. I don't know about you, but I think it's odd that a 17-year-old kid, like most 17-year-old kids dream of, like their first big purchase. They save up their birthday money to, get a car or, take the girlfriend out on a big date or something special, and maybe a motorbike. But Kyle Rittenhouse, he dreams about guns. So 17 years old, got somebody to buy this AR-15 rifle for him. An AR-15 is an assault rifle. That's important. So he goes down to this rally, and he gets himself into trouble and shoots a couple of people. Now, he claims to have gone down there as a gesture of he was going to provide first aid. He was a lifesaver, lifeguard, and a first aider, and so on. And he claims he went down there to provide first aid for those persons that were maybe going to be hurt. Now, I don't know about you, but as a professional medic or a paramedic, or a professional first aider, like St. John's person, like these people, I don't know about you, but I haven't seen any of them grab the AR-15 rifle as their first, weapon of choice when they're going to provide first aid. In fact, if you're like a medic, like Doctors Without Borders, and you're going into a particularly sensitive area where there's a lot of violence and tension and gunfire and so on. If you're a medic, you don't want to take a weapon with you, because if you're smart, if you're going into these sensitive areas, right away that if you take a weapon with you, you make yourself a target. You make yourself a threat because you have a weapon. Even like a small sidearm, you go into a sensitive area like that, they're going to search you right away. I'm a medic. I'm not here to, I'm just here to, help the wounded. No, but they're going to search you, and if they find a weapon on you, well, you're dead meat. So Kyle Rittenhouse, even as a 17-year-old kid, I think Kyle Rittenhouse could have figured this out on his own. But my guess is, despite what he said and despite the trial and, everybody painting themselves as holier than Christ himself, and how, he was, his mentor was Mother Teresa, no doubt. But all this is a crock, because he went down there to find trouble, right? Anybody that couldn't figure out that, as a 17-year-old kid, he's got this brand new AR-15 rifle, and where can I go to find the least amount of trouble walking around carrying this big cannon? Oh, how about a riot? Even a 17-year-old kid could figure that out on his own, right? So I gotta figure that he went down there to find trouble. But nobody's talking about that. He's got a lot of supporters trying to paint him as some, rights hero, the right to bear arms and so on in the States. Well, yeah, okay, maybe so, but How does this kid get off scot-free? Like, now, this doesn't go so directly to my theme about how come we can't just all get along, but if it had been that he went down to a riot about the support of a black kid that got shot, if he had got himself in trouble with some black kids, we'd be having a very different conversation, right? But as it happens, it was white goons, white redneck goons on white redneck goons. And Kyle Rittenhouse was a card-carrying, redneck, white bread, goon. No question about it. And to paint him as some kind of hero or, and it's just a crock. And, these other guys that he shot, claiming that, well, we didn't think that he was responsible enough to be carrying around a big cannon like that, so we thought it'd be safer if we took it off him. Oh, come on. They want to steal a rifle, right? And, this kid walking around in a chaos of riots and protesters and anti-protesters and a melee of all these people mussing around. He doesn't think walking around with this big AR-15 rifle isn't going to draw some attention? Of course it did. And there's probably only about 15 people that probably saw him walking around and going, oh man, that's a cherry rifle. I could get the drop on him. That'd be a nice rifle to have. So, the idea that they were trying to take it from him out of some sense of responsibility is a crock. So, anybody that's supporting any of these guys are deluded. There isn't anything I think anybody could say to justify what they did or why. If they were trying to be responsible, they would walk up to him and say, hey, kid, I don't think you should have that. It's probably hazardous. Why don't you put it away? Maybe you should take that and get it out of sight somewhere where, because a lot of people are like, making people nervous because it's an assault rifle, right? It's not a sidearm for protection. It's an assault rifle. By definition, it's for assault. An assault rifle is by definition designed to mow down as many people as possible in the quickest amount of time. It's an offensive weapon. And by carrying an offensive weapon in a crowd, you by definition make yourself an offense. But nobody seems to be asking the question, why was Kyle Rittenhouse even there in the first place? He had no business being there. He had no authority to be at the car lot that he presumably was standing guard over or protecting. I don't think he provided any aid to anybody who was hurt. He didn't stay at the car lot. He was wandering around, and he shouldn't have brought the gun there because it was an offense to take the gun across state lines, and he shouldn't have been there because he wasn't of age to own the gun legally, and yet he's not charged with any of these crimes. I don't get that. And needless to say, most of the black community are not really on side with this, although they're not really blowing up about the whole thing exactly because it was white trash that he shot. But if we're going to be talking about, peace among the peoples and so on, we've got to come up with a way of justice where the justice looks like it suits the crime. Now, this kid wanted to get into law enforcement, apparently, and having criminal charges against him would have deep-sixed his opportunity to apply to the forces. I hope the jury didn't let him off so that he could, because for my money, I don't think he's a good candidate. I wouldn't want him on the police force. He's exactly what I think is wrong with the police forces most of the time. So if we were trying to preserve his eligibility to apply for the police force, I think that's a huge mistake. So I understand that part of the problem might have been that the prosecutors put all of their chips on the bigger charges, and I guess I could say that it's reasonable to say that he shouldn't be charged with homicide. Because truthfully, he was attacked at the riot. You know, these guys that were gunning for him, they were trying to get the rifle off him. No secret to that. And if somebody points a gun at your head and you have an AR-15 rifle, I would think you'd expect to get somebody would fire back. You know, like that's logical. So, okay, not homicide. Maybe it was self-defense, but all of those other charges that put him there and put him as a target and made him, hazard to the rest of the people in the crowd by carrying around this huge cannon. What about all that junk? You know, like, hello, how does this guy get a free pass? It's insane. And the idea that everybody's buying into this bullshit that he's spouting about how he went down there to be responsible. Oh, come on. Like, really? How responsible is it for a 17-year-old kid to be walking around with a brand new assault rifle? Like, really? I don't know, but maybe some of you could weigh in on this. It seems to me that there ought to be, and I think, Canada law versus American law, I'm not sure, but in a jury trial, is it not reasonable or is it not available for the jury to suggest charges that he was responsible for? Maybe they couldn't find him guilty on homicide and aggravated assault and so on, but okay, what about all those other things that he was guilty of that put him there in the first place where he shouldn't have been at all? I mean, including maybe trespass and so on for being on the car lot when he really had, he knew a guy who had a car lot, and so then he went down to protect it. That's he had no authority to be there whatsoever, so that's probably something that should be charged. I mean, I think there's got to be a system in our, a mechanism in our justice system to correct these oversights, because for my money, Kyle Rittenhouse should not get a free pass. And if we're talking about, we're trying to keep the peace here between all peoples, and if justice is served in a way that is unbalanced or unfair, then the judge or the jury should be able to make available charges, or at least retry it so that charges can be leveled that are suitable. But for Kyle Rittenhouse to get a free pass on this, I think is ludicrous, and he's no hero. He doesn't deserve to be, honored at talk shows amongst students who, really going to colleges and giving commencement speeches and so on. I think he's a poor model for our young people. I wouldn't invite him. I wouldn't let him on the force. He's a goon, and for him to get a free pass is just absurdly wrong. It's a miscarriage of justice, and we've got to come up with some way of making justice fit the crimes that he was responsible for. Weigh in on this if you want. Thanks for listening. Hit a like, hit a subscribe if you want to keep up with the conversation. It bothers me to see things that do not work out in terms of justice, in terms of fairness, in terms of responsible legal systems. If you have a comment, please weigh in. Hit a comment, hit a subscribe, hit a like, and let me know what you think. Thanks for listening. Have a good night. Thanks. Bye.